My father signed my death warrant with a golden pen. Not metaphorically. Literally golden. 24-carat, custom-made, with our family crest engraved on the cap, a falcon clutching a sword. He didn't even look at me when he did it. Just pressed that pen to the royal decree paper, the expensive kind, cream-colored, embedded with microscopic diamonds that catch the light, and signed his name in perfect Arabic calligraphy. The sound of that pen scratching across paper is the last thing I hear before I fall asleep some nights. Even my execution was luxury. But let me take you back to the palace where this nightmare began. Because if you're going to understand why I'm alive right now, sitting in this small apartment thousands of miles away, you need to see the golden cage I escaped from. I grew up in a palace in Riyadh that covered 47 acres. 47. Most of you reading this, your entire neighborhood could fit inside my childhood home. The entrance hallway alone was longer than a football field, lined with columns made of Italian Carrara marble so white it almost glowed. Crystal chandeliers hung from ceilings so high your voice would echo if you dared to speak too loudly. Which we didn't. Silence was the language of power in our home. My bedroom, just my bedroom, was 3,000 square feet. I had a walk-in closet the size of a luxury boutique. 47 designer abayas, custom-made, some costing more than a car. I had 12 different bottles of Creed perfume on my vanity. I wore a Patek Philippe watch worth $280,000. I'm not bragging, I'm showing you the bars of my prison. Because that's what it was. A prison wrapped in silk, locked with gold. Every morning, I'd wake up to the call to prayer echoing from our private mosque. Yes, we had our own mosque inside the palace grounds, with a minaret covered in gold leaf. I'd perform wudu in a bathroom with fixtures made of polished brass, wash my face with French mineral water, and kneel on a prayer rug that cost more than most people make in a year. 5 times a day, I'd recite the prayers I'd memorized before I could read. 5 times a day, I'd bow toward Mecca. And 5 times a day, I felt absolutely nothing. Have you ever been surrounded by everything and felt completely empty? That was my life. I'd sit in our majlis during royal gatherings, servers bringing us tea in gilded cups, and I'd look around at the princes and sheiks and diplomats, all of them powerful, all of them speaking about honor and kingdom and legacy. And I'd think, is this it? Is this all there is? My father, His Royal Highness, Prince Khalid, didn't rule with his voice. He ruled with his silence. When he was pleased, you knew because he'd nod once. Once. When he was displeased, he'd call your name. Softly. Slowly. Ameerah. That's my name. Means princess. And when he said it in that tone, cold, measured, like ice cracking under weight, everyone in the room would hold their breath. Because that whisper meant someone was about to disappear. I'm not exaggerating. I watched it happen. My cousin Noor questioned an arranged marriage when she was 17. She begged our uncle, her father, to let her finish university first. He called her name just like that, Noor. 3 days later, she was gone. Married off to a 62-year-old minister in Qatar. We never saw her again. My father kept a gold dagger on his desk. Not decorative. Functional. He'd spin it sometimes during meetings, the blade catching the light. Once, when I was 12, I asked him why he kept it there. He looked at me with those dark, unreadable eyes and said, "This blade has tasted the blood of traitors. Family traitors. It helps people remember where their loyalty belongs." I never asked again. You think your family is controlling? Try having a family that owns a country. Try having a last name that opens every door and locks every exit. Try being worth $400 million on paper and $0 in choices. I ate from gold plates. I rode in motorcades. I traveled on private jets with my family crest painted on the tail. I had servants who memorized how I liked my tea. And my soul was starving. At night, I'd stand at my bedroom window, bulletproof glass, 3 inches thick, and look out at Riyadh's skyline. All those lights. Millions of people. And I'd press my hand against that glass and think, I am so alone. If you've never known wealth like this, trust me, money is the most beautiful prison ever built. The bars are invisible. The locks are made of obligation and honor and family name. And I was dying inside mine. I tried everything to fill the void. I memorized more Quran. I prayed longer. I fasted beyond Ramadan. I donated millions to mosques, my father's money, of course, but I signed the checks. I thought maybe if I was better, more devout, more perfect, Allah would finally feel real to me. He never did. I was 23 years old, lying on a bed worth $85,000, staring at a ceiling painted with gold leaf, wearing a silk nightgown that cost more than a month's salary for most people. And I wanted to die. That's when I started asking the forbidden question. The question you're not allowed to ask in a royal Saudi family. The question that gets you erased. What if everything I've been taught is wrong? The night I found that book, everything changed. Let me tell you about the man who destroyed my life with a smile on his face. My oldest brother, Faisal. Crown Prince Faisal. Heir to our family's fortune, to our father's title, to everything that mattered in our world. 6 feet tall, perfectly trimmed beard, designer thobe always crisp and white, oud perfume so expensive you could smell power radiating off him. He had our father's eyes, dark, calculating, empty of warmth. And he hated me. Not because I'd done anything to him. I was a woman. I couldn't inherit his precious title. I couldn't threaten his position. He hated me because I existed. Because every time our father showed me even the smallest kindness, a nod, a brief smile, Faisal saw it as power stolen from him. In our family, love was a zero-sum game. Affection given to me meant affection taken from him. I should have been more careful. I should have known he was watching. It was a Thursday night, I remember, because Thursdays in Saudi Arabia feel like Fridays do for you, the edge of the weekend, when the palace would finally quiet down. Most of the staff had left. My father was traveling to Abu Dhabi for a royal summit. My mother was hosting a private women's gathering in the East Wing, high tea with the wives of ministers and diplomats, the kind of performative piety where they'd discuss charity work while wearing jewelry worth millions. I thought I was alone. I'd hidden the Bible inside a French fashion magazine, Vogue, the kind of reading material no one questioned a princess having. I'd been reading it every night for 3 weeks, smuggled to me by a Filipino housemaid named Maria who'd worked in our palace for 7 years. She'd pressed it into my hands one afternoon while helping me dress, her hands shaking, tears in her eyes. "Miss Ameerah," she'd whispered, "Jesus loves you. He told me to give you this." I should have refused it. I should have reported her. Instead, I took it. And it was destroying everything I thought I knew. That night, I was lying on the floor of my bedroom, yes, the floor, that Italian marble that stayed cool even in summer, with the Bible open to the book of John. I'd read this one verse 17 times, and it still didn't make sense. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. God, loved? Loved enough to give? To sacrifice? This wasn't the Allah I'd been taught about. The Allah of my childhood was distant, demanding, keeping a ledger of your good deeds and bad deeds, weighing them on scales on Judgment Day. You earned paradise. You worked for it. 5 pillars. Perfect obedience. Absolute submission. But this was different. This was a God who came down. Who stepped into his own creation. Who died. I was crying, I didn't even realize it until tears hit the page and smudged the ink. My chest felt cracked open. For the first time in my 23 years, I felt something real stirring inside me. Something that felt like hope. "What are you reading?" I froze. The voice came from my doorway. Calm. Cold. Curious. Faisal. My blood turned to ice. I slammed the magazine shut, the Bible hidden inside, but my hands were shaking so badly I dropped it. The magazine fell open. The Bible slid out onto the marble floor, its leather cover slapping against stone. For 3 seconds, neither of us moved. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Just stared at that book lying there between us like a grenade with the pin pulled. Faisal walked toward me slowly. His kandura whispered against the floor. He stopped 2 feet away, looked down at the Bible, then at me. His face was completely expressionless. "Well," he said softly. "This is unexpected." I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. He crouched down, slowly, deliberately, and picked up the Bible. Turned it over in his hands like it was a snake. "Holy Bible," he read aloud in English, his accent perfect from his years at Cambridge. "New International Version." He looked at me. "How long, Ameerah?" "Faisal, I was just." "How long?" His voice didn't rise. That was worse. If he'd yelled, I could have handled it. But this? This surgical calmness? This was the family trait that terrified me. The ability to plan your destruction while smiling at you over tea. 3 weeks, I whispered. He nodded slowly. Stood up. Tucked the Bible under his arm like it was evidence. Which it was. "Do you have any idea," he said, his voice still soft, still measured, "what you've done? Do you understand what this means?" I scrambled to my feet. I was just reading it. I haven't converted or anything, I was just reading it? Now his voice rose. Just a fraction. Just enough to make me step backward. You think that's a defense? You think Father will care about the distinction? You brought Christian filth into this house. Into a royal house. You've disgraced the family name. He stopped. Took a breath. The mask slid back into place. No. This is perfect, actually. My stomach dropped. What? A smile spread across his face. Not a warm smile. A wolf smile. I've been looking for a way to remove you from the succession discussions. Father's been talking about increasing your dowry, giving you actual inheritance rights, modernizing the family trust. It's been problematic. He held up the Bible. But this? This solves everything. Faisal, please. Father returns tomorrow. I'll brief him personally. He walked toward my door, then paused. Looked back at me. I'd spend tonight praying, sister. To Allah. While you still can. He left. The door closed with a soft click. My knees gave out. I collapsed onto the floor, that cold, beautiful, expensive marble. The room spun. My vision blurred. I couldn't breathe, actually couldn't pull air into my lungs. Panic attack. I'd had them before, but never like this. This was different. This was terror in its purest form. Because I knew what happened to apostates in our world. I'd heard the stories whispered among servants. A distant cousin in Jeddah who'd questioned Islam, sent to a psychiatric facility, never heard from again. A royal from Kuwait who'd converted to Christianity, found dead in his apartment, suicide they said, even though his hands were tied. Our family didn't make spectacles. We made disappearances. I crawled to my bed, pulled myself up, wrapped my arms around my knees. The palace was completely silent. Somewhere in the East Wing, my mother was laughing with her guests, discussing trivial things, living in the illusion of safety. She had no idea her daughter was about to be erased. I don't know how long I sat there. Hours, maybe. The call to prayer for Isha echoed through the palace, the last prayer of the night. I didn't get up. Didn't perform wudu. Didn't kneel toward Mecca. What was the point? If I was already condemned, why pretend? Around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from my father's private secretary. His Royal Highness requests your presence in his office tomorrow at 9 a.m. Attendance is mandatory. That was the night I learned what powerless really meant. I didn't sleep. How could I? I lay in that massive bed, California king, Egyptian cotton sheets with a thread count I can't even remember, pillows stuffed with Hungarian goose down, and stared at the ceiling for 7 hours straight. My mind kept racing through scenarios. Maybe Faisal would calm down. Maybe he wouldn't tell father. Maybe this was just a scare tactic, a way to control me, to keep me obedient. But I knew better. Faisal never bluffed. And my father never showed mercy. At 4:30 a.m., the far call to prayer echoed across the palace grounds. Dawn prayer. The most important one, my mother always said. Allah is closest to us in the morning, she'd tell me when I was little. Pray far, and he'll protect you all day. I got out of bed. My legs felt like they were moving through water. I went to my private bathroom, all that polished brass and marble, the mirror surrounded by lights like a Hollywood dressing room, and performed wudu. Washing my hands 3 times. Rinsing my mouth. Cleaning my nose. Washing my face, my arms, wiping my head, washing my feet. The ritual I'd done 10,000 times in my life. But this time, as the water ran over my hands, I was begging inside. Please. Please, Allah. Please hear me. Please help me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Whatever I did wrong, forgive me. Protect me. Save me. Nothing. Just the sound of water hitting marble. I went to my prayer rug, deep burgundy, hand-woven in Iran, gift from a diplomat, and I knelt. Faced Mecca. Began the prayer in Arabic, the words I'd memorized before I could write my own name. Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. But as I prostrated, forehead to the ground, the position of ultimate submission, I felt nothing. Just expensive carpet against my skin. Just the cold air conditioning. Just the vast, crushing emptiness I'd felt my entire life. I finished the prayer. Sat back on my heels. And I stayed there, frozen, waiting for something. A feeling. A sign. A whisper in my heart. Anything. Silence. The same silence that had followed me my entire life. You need to understand something. I wasn't a bad Muslim. I wasn't lazy or rebellious or casual about my faith. I'd memorized 17 surahs from the Quran by the time I was 12. I prayed 5 times a day, every day, never missed. I fasted every Ramadan, even when I got so dizzy I'd nearly passed out. I gave millions in zakat, charity, in my father's name. I wore hijab in public, never showed my hair to men outside my family, kept my eyes down, my voice soft. I'd done everything right. And Allah had never, not once, felt real to me. Maybe that's why the Bible had hit me so hard. Because for the first time I'd read about a God who wasn't distant. A God who didn't wait for you to be good enough. A God who came looking for you. But that God wasn't Allah. And reading about him was going to get me killed. I got dressed carefully that morning. Chose a black abaya, simple, elegant, no embellishment. Covered my hair with a black shayla. Minimal makeup. I wanted to look respectful. Submissive. Repentant. I wanted to look like someone who deserved to live. At 8:45 a.m., 2 royal guards appeared at my door. They didn't speak. Didn't need to. I followed them down the hallway, that endless, echoing hallway lined with portraits of my ancestors. Kings and princes and sheiks, all of them staring down at me with judgment in their painted eyes. The walk to my father's office was exactly 200 meters. I'd measured it once as a child, counting steps while playing a game. 154 steps from my wing to his. I counted every single one that morning. Each step heavier than the last. The guards flanked me, silent as shadows. We passed the portrait gallery, my great-grandfather, who'd unified 3 tribes and built our fortune. My grandfather, who'd negotiated the oil contracts that made us billionaires. My father, in his official coronation portrait, wearing the family sword and the ceremonial robes, looking more like a statue than a man. All of them watching me walk to my execution. We reached the massive double doors to my father's office. Solid mahogany, carved with geometric Islamic patterns, handles made of gold. The guards opened the doors without knocking. My father sat behind his desk. And Faisal stood beside him, arms crossed, that same cold smile on his face. The Bible lay on my father's desk between them. Right next to that gold dagger. "Sit, Ameerah," my father said. His voice was quiet. Calm. That terrible, surgical calm that meant someone's world was about to end. I sat in the chair across from him. My hands were shaking, so I folded them in my lap, squeezed them together until my knuckles went white. "Tea?" my father asked, as if this were a social visit. He gestured to the silver tea service on the side table, Moroccan mint tea in a crystal pot, my favorite. "This is the blend you like. Fresh mint from our garden." I couldn't speak. Just shook my head. "No? You're sure?" He poured himself a cup, slow and deliberate. Took a sip. Set it down. Then slid the Bible across the desk toward me. "Explain this." The book sat there between us. Evidence. Condemnation. "Baba, Calmly, he interrupted. Respectfully. "Choose your words very carefully." I couldn't breathe. The room felt too small, too hot, even though I knew the air conditioning was set to exactly 20 degrees Celsius like always. "I found it," I whispered. I was curious. I just wanted to understand what Christians believe. I didn't convert, I just. "You brought Christian scripture into a Muslim household," Faisal cut in. "Into a royal household. Do you understand what that means? The scandal? The shame?" "Faisal, let your sister speak," my father said softly. He never took his eyes off me. "Ameerah. Have you recited the Shahada in reverse?" "The Shahada, the declaration of faith. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger." To recite it backward, to deny it, was the formal act of apostasy. "No. Wallahi, no, Baba, I would never." "Have you prayed to the Christian God?" I hesitated. 1 second too long. My father's eyes narrowed. "Have you," he repeated, his voice dropping even lower, "prayed to Jesus?" The truth sat in my throat like broken glass. Because yes. Yes, I had. 3 nights ago, lying on my bedroom floor, I'd whispered, "Jesus, if you're real, show me. I need to know if you're real." But I couldn't say that. Not here. Not now. "I've only prayed to Allah," I lied. Faisal laughed. Actually laughed, sharp and bitter. "She's lying, father. Look at her face. I'm not. Enough." My father didn't shout. He didn't need to. That one word, delivered in that tone of absolute authority, silenced the entire room. He stood up slowly. Walked around the desk. Stood over me. "Ameerah," he said, and his voice was almost sad. "You are my daughter. My only daughter. I have given you everything. Education. Wealth. Comfort. Protection. I've shielded you from the world, giving you a life most women would kill for. And this is how you repay me? By betraying your faith? Your family? Your blood?" Tears burned my eyes. "Baba, please. Do you know what happened to your cousin Noor's sister? Hala?" I froze. Hala. I hadn't thought about her in years. She was found with a Christian necklace. A cross. Hidden in her jewelry box. He crouched down, eye level with me now. Her father gave her a choice, denounce it publicly, or be disowned. She chose the cross. So he erased her. Legally. Financially. Socially. She doesn't exist anymore. She lives in Lebanon now, in poverty, cut off from the family, from her inheritance, from everyone she ever loved. He tilted his head. Is that what you want? No, I choked out. Then this ends today. You will burn that book. You will issue a formal apology to the family. You will recommit to Islam publicly. And you will marry the man I've chosen for you, Sheikh Abdullah from Abu Dhabi. He's 57, very traditional, very devout. He'll correct these tendencies of yours. The room tilted. Marry Sheikh Abdullah. I'd met him once at a diplomatic function. He had 3 wives already, cold eyes, and a reputation for disciplining women who stepped out of line. Baba, please, I'll do anything else, please don't. The wedding is in 6 weeks. Consider this mercy, Ameerah. I could do much worse. He stood up. Walked back to his desk. Picked up that gold dagger and turned it in his hands, the blade catching the morning light streaming through the windows. Now get out of my sight. And pray, to Allah, that I don't change my mind. The guards pulled me up, escorted me out. The doors closed behind me with a boom that echoed down the marble hallway. I made it back to my room. Closed the door. Locked it. And I collapsed. Not crying. Not screaming. Just broken. Lying on that cold marble floor in my expensive abaya in my palace prison, more trapped than I'd ever been in my life. I had prayed in the most beautiful mosque in the kingdom, on carpets worth millions. And Allah felt further away than the moon. I was surrounded by 200 people in this palace. I had never been more alone. I had 6 weeks until my life ended. That's what the wedding felt like. Not a marriage, an execution with a contract. Sheikh Abdullah. 57 years old. 3 wives. A palace in Abu Dhabi with a wing specifically for disciplining disobedient women. I'd heard the whispers from other royal wives. How his second wife had tried to leave him and disappeared for 3 months. When she came back, she never smiled again. Never spoke unless spoken to. Her eyes were dead. That was going to be me. Unless I did something. But what? Run? Where? I had money in my name, yes, trust funds, accounts, but they were all controlled by my father. He could freeze them with a phone call. I had a passport, but it was a royal passport, tracked, monitored. I couldn't board a plane without him knowing. I couldn't leave the palace without guards following me. I was trapped in a cage made of gold and family honor. For 3 days, I went through the motions. I prayed the required prayers, empty words to a silent God. I attended family dinners, sat quietly while my mother discussed wedding plans with her friends, talking about my marriage like it was a business merger. Which it was. Sheikh Abdullah's family controlled shipping routes through the Gulf. This marriage would make our families more powerful. I was a chess piece. A bargaining chip. A womb with a royal bloodline. At night, I'd lie in bed and stare at the ceiling, counting down the days. 43 days left. 42. 41. The Bible was gone. Faisal had taken it. But the words I'd read were still burned into my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about them. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. For God so loved the world. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus kept invading my thoughts. During prayers, I'd be reciting Arabic, and his name would flash through my mind. During meals, I'd hear his words instead of the conversation around me. At night, in the silence, I'd feel this pull. Like someone was calling me. Gently. Persistently. Like someone actually cared. On the 4th night, I couldn't take it anymore. Everyone else was asleep, the palace went quiet after midnight, just night guards patrolling the grounds and halls. I got out of bed, grabbed my phone, and went into my walk-in closet. It was the size of a small apartment, walls lined with designer clothes, shelves of shoes, drawers of jewelry. I closed the door, turned on a single light, and sat on the floor in the back corner behind a rack of abayas. If anyone checked on me, they'd see me in bed. I'd stuffed pillows under the blankets. A trick I'd learned as a teenager, sneaking late-night phone calls with friends. My hands shook as I opened my phone's browser. This was dangerous. Stupid. Our family had monitoring software on all our devices, I knew that. My father's IT security team could see everything. But I didn't care anymore. I was already condemned. What did I have to lose? I typed, "Who is Jesus Christ?" Pages of results. I clicked on the first one, some Christian website. Started reading. Jesus of Nazareth, called the Christ, meaning anointed one or Messiah, is the central figure of Christianity. Christians believe he is the Son of God, God incarnate, who came to earth to save humanity from sin. God incarnate. God in flesh. That concept still made my brain short-circuit. In Islam, that was the ultimate heresy, shirk, associating partners with God, the unforgivable sin. God couldn't have a son. God couldn't become human. But what if he did? What if the God of the universe loved his creation so much that he stepped down into it? What if he didn't stay distant and untouchable in paradise, but came here, to this broken, painful world? What if he came for me? I kept reading. Clicked link after link. The Gospel of John. The Sermon on the Mount. The Crucifixion. The Resurrection. And then I found something that made me stop breathing. A testimony. A video testimony from a woman in Malaysia, a Muslim woman who'd converted to Christianity. She was wearing hijab in the video, tears streaming down her face, speaking in English. "I was a good Muslim," she said. "I prayed 5 times a day. I fasted. I memorized Quran. But I was so empty. And then one night, I had a dream. Jesus appeared to me. He was wearing white, glowing, and he said my name. He said, 'I've been waiting for you.' I woke up weeping. I didn't understand. But I couldn't stop thinking about him. So I got a Bible. And when I read it, wallahi, when I read it, it was like someone turned on a light in a room I'd been sitting in darkness, my whole life. I played the video 3 times. She'd had a dream. Jesus had appeared to her in a dream. Could that happen? Could Jesus actually show himself to people? I kept searching. Found dozens more testimonies. Hundreds. Muslims from Saudi Arabia, from Iran, from Pakistan, from Egypt, all telling similar stories. Dreams. Visions. Jesus appearing to them, calling them by name, showing them he was real. In Islam, I was always striving, always failing, always afraid, one man from Iraq said. But Jesus said, "It is finished. I already paid the price. Just come to me." And I broke. Because I'd been working my whole life for something he was offering as a gift. I sat there on the floor of my closet, surrounded by clothes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, reading testimonies from people who'd lost everything for Jesus. And I wanted what they had. That peace. That certainty. That love. I wanted it so badly it physically hurt. But I couldn't get another Bible. Faisal had taken mine. Maria, the housemaid who'd given it to me, had been sent back to the Philippines 3 days ago. I'd heard the servants whispering about it. My father had fired her without explanation. She was gone. My connection to that forbidden book was cut. Unless. I looked at my phone. Could I download it? Was that insane? Probably. The IT team would see it. But maybe they wouldn't check immediately. Maybe I'd have a few days. Maybe it was worth the risk. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. I searched, Bible app download. Found one. YouVersion. Free. Millions of downloads. I stared at the download button for a full minute, my thumb hovering over it. This was the line. Once I crossed it, there was no pretending anymore. No claiming I was just curious. This was intentional. This was me choosing to seek Jesus, even though I knew what it could cost me. Jesus, if you're real. I prayed silently. If you're really there. I need you. I need to know the truth. Please. Show me. I hit download. The app installed in seconds. I opened it. The home screen glowed in the darkness of my closet, a peaceful image, a sunset, a verse. Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened to you. I started crying. Right there, sitting on the floor surrounded by designer clothes and expensive shoes, staring at my phone screen. Someone was inviting me. After 23 years of performing rituals and following rules and trying to earn approval from a God who felt a million miles away, someone was saying, just ask. Just seek. Just knock. I clicked on the Gospel of John. Started reading from chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. God became flesh. The God who created galaxies, who hung stars in space, who spoke the universe into existence, he became a human. Walked on dirt roads. Got tired. Got hungry. Felt pain. He came down. I'd been taught my whole life that God was utterly transcendent, completely separate, unknowable. You submit to him. You obey him. You fear him. But you don't know him. But Jesus. Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Jesus touched lepers. Ate with prostitutes. Defended an adulteress. Washed his disciples' feet. Let a sinful woman cry on his feet and wipe them with her hair. Jesus loved people. Broken people. Messy people. Desperate people. People like me. I read for hours. Lost track of time. Read through John, then started Matthew. The Sermon on the Mount destroyed me. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are the poor. The mourning. The meek. Not blessed are the powerful. Not blessed are the wealthy. Not blessed are the ones who have it all together. That wasn't Islam. That wasn't the religion of warriors and conquerors I'd been taught. That was something completely different. That was a God who saw the broken and called them blessed. I read Jesus' words in Matthew 11, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Gentle. God was gentle? I'd never heard God described that way. Powerful, yes. Just, yes. Merciful, sometimes, if you earned it. But gentle? And rest. He was offering rest. Not more rules. Not more rituals. Not more striving. Rest. I was so tired. I'd been tired my whole life. Tired of performing. Tired of pretending. Tired of trying to be perfect enough, modest enough, obedient enough. And Jesus was saying, stop. Come here. Rest. By the time I looked up, light was seeping under the closet door. Far prayer would start in minutes. I'd been reading all night. I needed to move, to go perform wudu, to pray, to play my role. But I didn't want to. For the first time in my life, I didn't want to pray to Allah. I wanted to pray to Jesus. So I did. Right there on the floor, in the back of my closet, surrounded by the evidence of my empty, golden life. Jesus, I whispered out loud. I don't know how this works. I don't know if you can even hear me. But I want to know you. Not just about you. I want to know you. If you're real, if you really came down, if you really died for people like me, please show me. Because I can't keep living like this. I can't marry that man. I can't spend the rest of my life bowing to a God who doesn't feel real. I need truth. Even if it costs me everything. I waited. Listened. Nothing happened. No voice. No vision. Just silence. But this time, the silence felt different. This time, it felt like someone was listening. For 2 weeks, I lived a double life. By day, I was Princess Ameerah. Obedient daughter. Future bride. I attended wedding planning meetings with my mother and the wedding coordinator, a woman from London who specialized in ultra-luxury royal events. We discussed flowers, white roses imported from Ecuador, $80,000 worth, the venue, Sheikh Abdullah's private palace courtyard, capacity 800 guests, my wedding abaya, custom Eli Saab, encrusted with Swarovski crystals, price tag I didn't want to know. I smiled. I nodded. I played my part. By night, I was someone else. Someone hungry. Someone desperate. Someone secretly reading a forbidden book in the darkness of my closet, whispering prayers to a God I'd been taught was a heretic's lie. I devoured the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, I read all 4, twice. Then Acts. Then Romans. Then Ephesians. The words were like water to someone dying of thirst. Every night, I'd wait until the palace went quiet, then hide in my closet with my phone, reading until my eyes burned, until I heard the far call to prayer echoing across the grounds. The more I read, the more everything I'd been taught started crumbling. In Islam, I'd learned that salvation was a scale. Good deeds on one side, bad deeds on the other. Pray enough, fast enough, give enough charity, follow enough rules, and maybe, if Allah willed it, you'd make it to Jannah. Maybe. You never knew. You couldn't know. Even Muhammad himself said he didn't know if he'd make it to paradise. But Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. Not maybe. Not if you're good enough. Whoever believes. And then Ephesians 2 verses 8 to 9 shattered me completely. For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. A gift. Salvation was a gift. I read that verse 20 times. 30. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. My entire life, I'd been trying to earn my way to God. Working, striving, performing, always falling short, always afraid I wasn't good enough. And Jesus was saying, stop working. Just receive. I already did the work. I already paid the price. It's finished. But was it true? Was any of this true? Or was I losing my mind, reading propaganda, falling for lies because I was desperate and trapped and looking for any escape? I needed to know. I needed proof. So I prayed. Every night, the same prayer. Jesus, if you're real, show me. Don't let me be deceived. I need to see you. I need to know. Please. Days passed. The wedding crept closer. 28 days left. 25. 20. Nothing happened. No dreams. No visions. No supernatural encounters like the testimonies I'd read. Just silence. I started to doubt. Maybe those testimonies were fake. Maybe Jesus only appeared to certain people, special people, people who deserved it more than a spoiled Saudi princess who'd spent her whole life in luxury. Maybe I wasn't worth saving. That's what I was thinking on the night it happened. It was a Wednesday. 18 days before my wedding. I'd spent the day at a final dress fitting, standing on a platform for 3 hours while seamstresses pinned and adjusted the most beautiful prison I'd ever seen. My mother kept crying, telling me how stunning I looked, how blessed I was, how Sheikh Abdullah was such a good match. I wanted to scream. That night, I couldn't even pretend to read the Bible. I was too angry. Too tired. Too done. I lay in my bed, that massive, expensive, suffocating bed, and stared at the ceiling. The palace was silent. Everyone asleep. Just me and the darkness and the crushing weight of my future pressing down on my chest. I can't do this, I whispered to the darkness. To God. To whoever might be listening. I can't marry him. I can't live this lie. I can't keep pretending. But I can't escape either. I'm trapped. Completely trapped. Tears slid down my temples into my hair. Jesus, my voice cracked. If you're real, if you're actually real and you actually care. I need you now. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Please. I'm begging you. Show me you're real. Because if you're not, if this is all just fantasy, then I don't want to live anymore. I can't do this. The words hung in the air. And then something changed. The air changed. I don't know how else to describe it. The temperature didn't drop, it was still cool from the air conditioning. But the atmosphere became thick. Heavy. Like the air before a thunderstorm, charged with electricity, pregnant with something about to happen. I sat up slowly. My heart started pounding. The room was dark except for the moonlight coming through my window, those massive floor-to-ceiling windows with their bulletproof glass and silk curtains. But now, that moonlight seemed brighter? Different? And then I saw him. Standing by the window. A man. I should have screamed. Should have hit the panic button by my bed that would bring guards running. Should have grabbed my phone. But I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. Because I knew. Instantly. Impossibly. I knew who he was. He wore simple clothes, a white robe, nothing fancy, nothing royal. But he was more regal than any king I'd ever seen. More regal than my father in his ceremonial robes. More regal than the Sultan of Brunei I'd met once, dripping in gold and jewels. This was true royalty. Original royalty. The kind that didn't need crowns or thrones or declarations. His presence filled the room, no, not filled, saturated the room. Like the air itself was bowing. Like even the darkness was pulling back to make space for him. And his face. I can't describe it. I've tried 1,000 times since then. Human language doesn't have words for what I saw. He was beautiful, but not in a way that made you think about physical features. It was deeper than that. Purer. Like looking at beauty itself, at the source of all beautiful things. But it was his eyes that destroyed me. He looked at me, directly at me, and I felt seen. Not just observed. Seen. Like he could see through my skin, past my bones, into the core of who I was. Every thought I'd ever had. Every sin I'd ever committed. Every fear, every shame, every secret darkness. He saw everything. And he didn't look away. He didn't look disgusted. Didn't look disappointed. Didn't look at me the way my father looked at me, with cold calculation, measuring my value. He looked at me with love. Pure, overwhelming, inexplicable love. I started sobbing. Couldn't help it. Collapsed back against my headboard, tears pouring down my face. You're real, I choked out. You're real. He smiled. Just slightly. And then he spoke. His voice wasn't loud. Wasn't booming or theatrical. It was quiet. Gentle. But it resonated through my entire body, through the room, through reality itself. Ameerah. My name. He said my name. Not princess. Not your highness. Not daughter of Prince Khalid. Just Ameerah. The sound of my own name from his lips broke something in me. Some wall I'd built, some armor I'd worn my whole life. It shattered. I've been waiting for you, he said. W waiting? I could barely form words. For me? I've been calling you your whole life. You just couldn't hear me yet. He moved closer, didn't walk, exactly, just seemed to be suddenly nearer. All those prayers you prayed to a God who felt far away? I heard every single one. All those nights you cried yourself to sleep, feeling empty? I was there. Waiting. Hoping you'd turn around and see me. But I'm not. I shook my head, tears blurring my vision. I'm not good enough. I'm a terrible Muslim. I've been reading the Bible secretly, lying to my family. Ameerah. He said my name again, and it silenced every accusation in my mind. You don't have to be good enough. That's the point. I didn't come for people who have it all together. I came for the broken. The lost. The ones who know they can't save themselves. He was right next to my bed now. Close enough to touch. The light emanating from him was soft, warm, like candlelight but brighter, purer. You're afraid, he said. Not a question. A statement. I nodded, unable to speak. You think if you follow me, you'll lose everything. Your family. Your home. Your wealth. Your life. Yes. The word came out as a whisper. You will, he said simply. My stomach dropped. But Ameerah, he leaned forward slightly, and his eyes held mine, and I couldn't look away, didn't want to look away. What you'll gain is worth infinitely more. You'll lose an earthly family and gain an eternal one. You'll lose a palace and gain a kingdom. You'll lose your life and find it. Really find it. For the first time. I'm so scared, I admitted. I know. That's okay. Do it scared. Do it terrified. Just do it. Because I'm not asking you to be brave enough for the whole journey, just for the next step. He reached out his hand. Come with me, Ameerah. Leave the cage. I'll show you what freedom looks like. I stared at his hand. Scarred. I could see the scar in his palm, round, terrible, beautiful. The nail scar. The price he'd paid. For me. For me. This wasn't about rules anymore. This wasn't about Islam versus Christianity, about which religion was correct. This was about him. This person. This God who came down, who died, who rose, who was standing in my bedroom in a Saudi palace at 3 a.m., calling my name, asking me to trust him. If I follow you, I said slowly, they'll kill me. Maybe, he acknowledged. Or maybe I'll do something so miraculous they won't be able to. Either way, Ameerah, you'll be with me. In life or in death, you'll be with me. And nothing, nothing, can separate you from my love. I thought about my father's face. My mother's tears. Faisal's cold satisfaction. Sheikh Abdullah's dead-eyed wives. The wedding in 18 days. The life stretching before me like a prison sentence. And then I looked at Jesus. Really looked at him. At the God who left heaven to find me. Who died to save me. Who was standing here, in this room, offering me his hand. There wasn't really a choice. There had never been a choice. Yes, I whispered. Yes. I'm yours. Whatever it costs. I'm yours. The moment I said it, everything changed. The weight I'd been carrying my entire life, that crushing pressure of never being good enough, never being holy enough, never earning enough approval, it lifted. Like chains falling off. Like stepping out of darkness into sunlight. Jesus smiled, this huge, radiant smile that lit up the entire room. Welcome home, daughter. And then he reached out and touched my forehead, just one finger, gentle, brief. The touch sent fire through me. Not painful fire. Cleansing fire. Pure fire. I felt it burn through every lie I'd believed about myself, every shame, every fear, every chain the enemy had wrapped around my heart. I felt free. When I opened my eyes, I hadn't even realized I'd closed them, he was gone. The room was just a room again. Normal temperature. Normal air. Just moonlight through the windows. But I was different. Completely different. I looked down at my hands, half expecting them to be glowing. They weren't. But they felt clean. New. I was new. I got out of bed, legs shaky, and walked to the mirror. Stared at my reflection. Same face. Same features. But my eyes were different. Alive. Awake. I saw Jesus, I thought, dazed. I actually saw Jesus. He was here. In this room. He's REA. And I started laughing. Quietly at first, then harder, pressing my hand over my mouth to muffle the sound. I was laughing and crying at the same time, joy bubbling up from somewhere deep inside me that I hadn't known existed. He was real. Jesus was real. And he knew my name. And he'd come for me. I'd had 47 designer abayas and zero freedom. Now I had nothing. And I'd never been richer. I wish I could tell you I had some brilliant escape plan. That I contacted the underground church, arranged for asylum, snuck out in the middle of the night. But I didn't. Because the next morning, my father found the Bible app on my phone. I'd gotten careless. After Jesus appeared to me, I'd felt so invincible. So protected. So certain that he'd make a way. I'd stopped hiding. Stopped deleting my search history. I'd even started taking notes, writing down verses, questions, prayers, in the notes app on my phone. Evidence. Digital evidence. All of it tracked, all of it monitored by my father's security team. I woke up to pounding on my bedroom door. Not knocking, pounding. Like they were going to break it down. Ameerah. Open this door now. Faisal's voice. Furious. My blood turned to ice. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand, 7:23 a.m., 15 missed calls from my father's office, 12 from Faisal, and my stomach dropped. They know. The door burst open before I could even get out of bed. I hadn't unlocked it, they'd used the master key. Faisal stormed in, my father right behind him, and 4 royal guards behind them. I pulled my blanket up to my chest, heart hammering. Get dressed, my father said, his voice dangerously quiet. You have 5 minutes. Then you're coming with us. Baba, what? 5 minutes. He roared, actually roared, the first time I'd ever heard him raise his voice like that. His face was red, a vein bulging in his temple. Or so help me, Ameerah, I will drag you out in your nightclothes. They left. The guards stayed posted at my door. I threw on the first abaya I could find, hand shaking so badly I could barely fasten it. Wrapped my shayla around my hair. My mind was racing. What do they know? How much do they know? Did they find the app? Did someone see me praying? What's happening? Jesus, I prayed desperately, help me. Please. You said you'd never leave me. Please don't leave me now. The guards escorted me through the palace. Not to my father's office this time. Somewhere else. Down hallways I rarely used, past the servants' quarters, toward the old wing, the part of the palace that was mostly storage and rooms we didn't use anymore. They stopped at a door I'd never noticed before. Heavy wood, iron bolts. One of the guards unlocked it. Stone steps leading down. Into darkness. Move, the guard said. My legs wouldn't work. Where are we? He pushed me forward. I stumbled down the steps, barely catching myself on the stone wall. The stairs spiraled down, into cold and darkness and air that smelled like dust and something else. Something metallic. Fear. This place smelled like fear. At the bottom was a corridor. Stone floors, stone walls, lit by a single bare bulb. Doors on either side, thick metal doors with small barred windows. Cells. We had cells under our palace. Prison cells. How many people have been down here? I thought, horrified. How many family members have disappeared into this place? The guard unlocked one of the doors. Shoved me inside. The cell was maybe 8 feet by 10 feet. Stone walls. Stone floor. No windows. A metal cot with a thin mattress. A bucket in the corner. That was it. The door slammed shut behind me. The lock clicked. And I was alone in the darkness. I don't know how long I stood there. Minutes? Hours? Time felt strange down there, like it didn't exist anymore. Eventually, I sat on the cot. The metal was cold even through the mattress. I pulled my knees to my chest, wrapped my arms around them. Jesus, I prayed, I don't understand. I thought you had a plan. I thought. The door opened. My father stood in the doorway, backlit by the corridor light. He looked like a shadow. A monster. Do you know why you're here? He asked. I didn't answer. He stepped into the cell. Closed the door behind him. Now it was just the two of us in the darkness, the only light seeping through the barred window in the door. Your phone, he said. My security team does routine monitoring. They found your search history. Your downloads. Your notes. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through it, started reading. Jesus, thank you for loving me. Thank you for dying for me. Help me to follow you even when I'm afraid. John 14 verse 6, Jesus is the way, the truth, the life. Not a way. The way. I don't want to marry Sheikh Abdullah. I'd rather die than live without Jesus. He looked up at me. His eyes were flat. Empty. You converted, he said. Not a question. An accusation. Yes, I whispered. I expected him to hit me. To explode. To kill me right there. Instead, he laughed. A cold, bitter sound. My daughter. My only daughter. An apostate. He shook his head. Do you have any idea what you've done? The shame? The scandal? Sheikh Abdullah's family has already been informed. They've withdrawn from the marriage contract. They're demanding compensation for the insult, 100 million rials. And your uncle, the minister? He's saying we need to make a public example of you. To show the kingdom that our family doesn't tolerate apostasy, even from royalty. Baba, please. Don't call me that. His voice was ice. You're not my daughter anymore. Daughters obey. Daughters honor their families. You? You're a traitor. I'm not a traitor. I found the truth. I found Jesus and there is no Jesus. He was shouting now, spit flying from his mouth. There is no Son of God. There is only Allah. And you have betrayed him. You betrayed your family. You betrayed your blood. Jesus is real. I stood up, tears streaming down my face. I saw him. He came to me. He's more real than anything in this palace, more real than all our money and power and... He slapped me. Hard. Across the face. The force of it knocked me sideways. I hit the stone wall, tasted blood. You saw nothing, he said quietly. You had a dream. A delusion. Brought on by reading filth and lies. I touched my lip. It was split. Blood on my fingers. It wasn't a dream, I said. He stared at me for a long moment. Then pulled out his phone again, made a call. Bring it, he said to whoever answered. Then hung up. 2 minutes later, the door opened. A guard entered carrying something wrapped in velvet cloth. He handed it to my father and left. My father unwrapped it. A sword. Not ceremonial. Not decorative. A real sword, slightly curved, the blade gleaming even in the dim light. This sword has been in our family for 6 generations, my father said, running his finger along the flat of the blade. It was used by your great-great-grandfather to execute traitors. Family traitors. Men who betrayed their tribe, their blood, their honor. He looked at me. It hasn't been used in 40 years. I'd hoped I'd never need to use it. My heart stopped. Baba, please. Tomorrow morning, he continued, as if I hadn't spoken, you will be brought to the throne room. The family will be gathered, uncles, cousins, all of them. Witnesses. You will be given one final chance to publicly renounce this Jesus heresy and recommit to Islam. If you refuse, he let the sword speak for itself. You're going to kill me, I whispered. The law demands it. Sharia demands it. Our honor demands it. He wrapped the sword back in the velvet. I'd hoped you'd be smart enough to choose life. But if you insist on choosing death, he walked to the door, knocked twice. The guard opened it. Then that's your choice. He left. The door locked behind him. And I was alone again. I collapsed onto the cot, buried my face in my hands, and sobbed. Great, wrenching sobs that tore out of my chest. Not from fear, though I was terrified. From grief. Because that man who'd just threatened to kill me? That was my father. The man who'd taught me to ride a bike when I was 6. Who'd carried me on his shoulders through the palace. Who used to call me his little jewel. That man was going to execute me. Jesus, I prayed through my tears, I don't want to die. I'm 23 years old. I don't want to die. But I meant what I said. You're worth more than this life. You're worth more than this palace, this family, this kingdom. If I die tomorrow, I die with you. And that's enough. Peace settled over me. Inexplicable peace. The kind that made no sense in a prison cell the night before your execution. The peace of Jesus. I lay down on that metal cot and somehow, impossibly, fell asleep. I was woken by guards. Dawn. Time. They brought me water to wash my face, a clean abaya to wear. White. The color of death. No breakfast. Corpses don't need to eat. They led me upstairs, through the palace, to the throne room. I'd only been in there a handful of times, it was reserved for major royal functions, official ceremonies. The doors opened. The room was massive. Vaulted ceilings. Marble columns. Gold everywhere. And in the center, on a raised platform, my father's throne. He sat there in full ceremonial robes, looking every inch a king. And below him, gathered in a semicircle, my family. 25, maybe 30 people. My mother, her face blank and stony. Faisal, his arms crossed, that cold satisfaction in his eyes. Uncles. Cousins. And a mom I didn't recognize. All of them watching me as the guards marched me to the center of the room. They forced me to my knees on the marble floor. My father stood. Walked down the steps from his throne. Stood over me. The throne room went absolutely silent. Ameerah bint Khalid, he said formally, his voice echoing, you have been accused of apostasy. Of abandoning Islam for Christianity. Of worshipping Jesus Christ as God. These are crimes punishable by death under Islamic law. He paused. However, you are family. Blood of my blood. So I offer you mercy. Recant. Publicly. Say the Shahada, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger, and renounce Jesus Christ as a false prophet. Do this, and you live. Refuse, he gestured, and a guard brought forward the sword. And the law will be carried out. Every eye in the room was on me. This was it. The moment. My last chance to save my life. All I had to do was lie. Just say the words. Say the Shahada. Denounce Jesus. I could even mean it secretly, couldn't I? Couldn't I just lie externally and keep believing internally? Wouldn't Jesus understand? Wouldn't he forgive me for choosing survival? But even as I thought it, I knew. That wasn't faith. That was betrayal. Peter had denied Jesus 3 times. And Jesus forgave him, yes. But Peter had wept bitterly. Lived with that shame. And Jesus had asked him, "Do you love me?" 3 times. Once for each denial. "Do you love me, Ameerah? More than your life?" "Well?" My father's voice cut through my thoughts. "What is your answer?" I looked up at him. At his face, the face I'd known my whole life, now cold and foreign. Then I looked at my mother. Tears running silently down her cheeks. But she didn't speak. Didn't intercede. Just watched. Then Faisal. Waiting. Eager, almost. Then the Imam. Already preparing to pronounce judgment. "Jesus," I prayed silently, "give me strength." And I felt it. That same presence from my bedroom. That same warmth. That same peace. He was here. In this throne room. Invisible to them. But I could feel him. Standing behind me. With me. I wasn't alone. I took a deep breath. "My father," I said, my voice steady, "I love you. I honor you. But I cannot obey you in this." Murmurs rippled through the room. "Jesus Christ is Lord," I said, louder now. "He is the Son of God. He died for my sins and rose from the dead. He is the way, the truth, the life. And I will never, never, deny him. Not to save my life. Not for anything." The throne room exploded. Shouting. My mother crying out. My uncle yelling that I'd shamed the family. The Imam declaring me an apostate. My father held up his hand. Silence fell instantly. His face was like stone. "So be it," he said. He took the sword from the guard. Walked toward me. This was it. This was how I died. "Jesus, receive my spirit," I prayed. My father raised the sword. And then? The lights went out. All of them. Every chandelier, every light in the throne room, gone. Plunged into complete darkness. People screamed. Shouted. Chaos. And then light. Not from the chandeliers. From behind me. I turned. Jesus stood there. Not invisible this time. Not private. Visible. Standing in the center of the throne room, radiating light like the sun, his white robes glowing, his face shining, his presence so powerful, so overwhelming, that everyone in the room fell to their knees. Not in worship. In terror. "Ameerah," Jesus said, his voice filling the entire space, "stand up." I stood. My legs were shaking but I stood. He walked toward me, glided toward me, and placed his hand on my shoulder. "This is my daughter," he said, and his voice was gentle but absolute, the kind of authority that makes kings look like children. "No weapon formed against her will prosper. No hand raised against her will succeed. She is mine. And I protect what is mine." He turned to face my father, still kneeling, still staring, the sword fallen from his hand, clattering on the marble. "Khalid," Jesus said. My father flinched like he'd been struck. "You rule your kingdom with fear. But there is a kingdom greater than yours. And a king higher than you. I am he." Jesus's eyes, those infinite, burning, loving eyes, fixed on my father. "Release her. Let her go. Or face me." For 10 seconds, 10 eternal seconds, no one moved. No one breathed. Then my father bowed his head. "Take her," he whispered. "Just, take her." Jesus looked at me. Smiled. "Come, daughter. It's time to go home." He took my hand, his hand warm, solid, real, and the light around him grew brighter, brighter, until I couldn't see anything else, couldn't see the throne room or my family or... And then I was standing outside. Outside the palace gates. In the street. In Riyadh. Cars passing. Morning sun. I looked down. I was still wearing the white abaya. My hand was still warm from where Jesus had held it. But he was gone. I turned, looked back at the palace. The gates. The guard staring at me in shock. And I started laughing. Because I was free. I stood there on the sidewalk outside the palace gates for maybe 30 seconds before reality hit. I had no phone. No money. No identification. No passport. Just the white abaya on my back and the shoes on my feet. And behind those gates, my father, who'd just witnessed Jesus Christ appear in his throne room, was either having a breakdown or planning to send people after me the moment he recovered. I needed to move. But where? Where do you go when you've just been supernaturally rescued from execution but you're still in Riyadh, still in Saudi Arabia, still in a country where apostasy is punishable by death? Jesus, I prayed, walking quickly away from the palace, you got me out. Now what? What do I do? And immediately, a name dropped into my mind, Maria. Maria. The Filipino housemaid who'd given me the Bible. Who'd been sent back to the Philippines weeks ago because of me. But before she left, I suddenly remembered she'd pressed a slip of paper into my hand. An address. If you ever need help, she'd whispered. Go here. They're believers. They'll protect you. I'd memorized it. Thrown the paper away because I was terrified of it being found. But I still remembered it. A street name in the Batha district. An apartment number. It was across the city. Maybe a 40-minute drive. I had no money for a taxi. No phone to call one anyway. So I walked. Through the streets of Riyadh in a white abaya, the color of mourning, the color of death, I walked. Past luxury car dealerships and shopping malls and skyscrapers. Past cafes where men sat drinking coffee and smoking shisha. Past women in black abayas, their faces covered, their eyes carefully averted. I must have looked insane. A woman alone, walking, no male guardian, no phone, just walking. People stared. Some looked concerned. Most looked disgusted. One man actually shouted at me, "Where is your mahram? Your guardian? Have you no shame?" I kept walking. It took me 3 hours. 3 hours in the heat, my feet blistering in shoes not meant for long-distance walking, my throat burning with thirst. But I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because I could feel it, that sense of being hunted. Multiple times, police cars passed me. One slowed down, the officer staring. I held my breath, kept walking, didn't make eye contact. They drove on. They were looking for me. I knew they were. By the time I reached the Batha district, the sun was high and brutal. The address Maria had given me was a rundown apartment building, nothing like the palaces and luxury compounds I was used to. Cracked concrete. Peeling paint. Laundry hanging from balconies. I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. Apartment 3B. Stood in front of the door, my hand raised to knock. What if this is wrong? What if Maria gave me the wrong address? What if these people turn me in? You trusted me to get you out of the palace, Jesus seemed to whisper to my heart. Trust me now. I knocked. Footsteps inside. The door cracked open, a chain lock still engaged. A woman's face appeared, Pakistani, maybe, middle-aged, suspicious eyes. Yes? Maria sent me, I said quietly. I need help. The woman's eyes widened. She looked me up and down, saw the expensive abaya, probably recognized the quality, the style that only royalty wore. You're the princess, she whispered. I nodded. She closed the door. For a second I thought she was locking me out. But then I heard the chain unlatch. The door opened wide. Get in. Quickly. I stumbled inside. She locked the door behind me, 2 deadbolts and the chain, and then turned to face me. "You actually did it," she said, awe in her voice. "Maria said you were reading the word. She said Jesus was calling you. But when they sent her away, we thought you'd been stopped. We've been praying for you for weeks." I burst into tears. Just collapsed right there in this stranger's tiny apartment and sobbed. From relief. From exhaustion. From the sheer overwhelming grace of God leading me to safety. The woman, her name was Aisha, I learned later, wrapped her arms around me and held me while I cried. "You're safe now," she murmured. "You're safe. Jesus has you." Over the next 6 hours, Aisha and her husband David, a Pakistani Christian who worked in construction, explained the situation to me. "You can't stay in Saudi Arabia," David said bluntly. "Your father is one of the most powerful men in the kingdom. He'll find you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but he will find you. And next time, there might not be a miracle to save you." "Then what do I do?" I asked. "We get you out. To a country with asylum protections for apostates." He pulled out a map, pointed to locations. "Jordan, maybe. Turkey. Lebanon. Somewhere you can apply for refugee status." "But I don't have a passport. No ID. No money." "We know people," Aisha said quietly. "Underground church networks. People who help believers escape persecution. It's not easy. It's expensive. And it's dangerous. But it's possible." "How long?" "To arrange everything? A week, maybe 2. My stomach dropped. "I have to hide here for 2 weeks." "Not here," David said. "We'll move you. Different safe houses. Every few days. Keeps you harder to track." So that's what we did. For 13 days, I lived like a fugitive. Like a criminal. Like the thing my family now believed I was. I stayed in apartment after apartment, all of them small, crowded, homes of working-class expat Christians who were risking everything to shelter me. Filipinos. Indians. Pakistanis. Ethiopians. People who cleaned houses and worked construction and drove trucks for a living. People who had more faith in their pinky fingers than I'd had in my entire body before Jesus found me. They fed me. Hid me. Prayed over me. One Ethiopian woman, her name was Rahel, held my hands and said, "You are royalty twice over now, sister. Once by birth. Twice by the blood of Jesus. You are a daughter of the Most High King." I cried a lot those 13 days. From fear. From grief. From missing my mother, who I knew I'd probably never see again. But also from joy. Because for the first time in my life, I was surrounded by people who loved Jesus more than safety. Who'd risk imprisonment, deportation, even death to follow him. I'd lost a palace. But I'd gained a family. On day 6, David came back from work with news. Bad news. "Your father issued a formal statement," he said, showing me his phone. I couldn't read it myself, I had no devices, too risky, but he read it aloud. "It is with deep sorrow that the family of His Royal Highness Prince Khalid announces that his daughter, Ameerah bint Khalid, has suffered a severe mental breakdown. She has been placed in a private medical facility for treatment. The family requests privacy during this difficult time." A mental breakdown? I stared at David. "They're claiming I'm insane?" "Better than admitting you converted to Christianity," he said grimly. "This way, they save face. You're not an apostate, you're just a sick girl who had delusions. And if they find me? They'll put you in a psychiatric facility. Drug you into compliance. Or worse." I felt sick. But underneath the fear was something else. Something surprising. Anger. I'd spent my whole life being controlled by my family. By their rules, their expectations, their obsession with honor and reputation and appearing perfect. And even now, even after everything, they were still trying to control the narrative. Still lying. Still manipulating. I'm not going back, I said firmly. Whatever it takes. I'm not going back. David nodded. Then we keep moving. On day 13, the plan came together. A Pakistani driver named Yusuf, a believer, part of the network, was making a delivery run to Jordan. Commercial truck, boxes of construction supplies. And hidden among those boxes, a small space. Just big enough for a person. It's a 14-hour drive, David warned me. You'll be in darkness the whole time. Cramped. Hot. There are checkpoints at the border, Saudi and Jordanian. If they search the truck thoroughly, they'll find you. But they might not. They usually don't. Yusuf has made this run 50 times. They know him. Wave him through. Usually, I repeated. Usually, he confirmed. It was a risk. A massive risk. But staying was certain death. When do we leave? I asked. Tomorrow night. That last night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on a thin mattress in Aisha and David's apartment, staring at the ceiling, praying. Jesus, I'm terrified. But I trust you. You've brought me this far. Don't abandon me now. And I felt it again. That peace. That presence. I will never leave you nor forsake you, Jesus whispered to my heart. I didn't rescue you from the throne room to lose you at the border. Trust me. The next evening, Yusuf picked me up in his truck. He was in his 50s, weathered face, kind eyes. He showed me the hiding space he'd constructed among the boxes. It was tiny. Maybe 4 feet by 3 feet. Just tall enough to sit up if I hunched. I'm sorry, he said. I know it's not comfortable. But it's the safest way. It's perfect, I told him. And I meant it. Because this tiny, uncomfortable space? It was freedom. Thank you. Thank you for risking this. He smiled. Jesus risked everything for me. This is nothing. I climbed in. He sealed the boxes around me, leaving small gaps for air. And then the truck started moving. For 14 hours, I sat in darkness. Cramped. Hot. Every bump in the road jarring my bones. I prayed the entire time. Recited every Bible verse I'd memorized. Sang worship songs under my breath, songs I'd learned from YouTube videos in my closet back in the palace, back when this was all just a secret, impossible dream. We stopped twice. Checkpoints. I held my breath, pressed my hand over my mouth to keep silent. Heard voices outside. Arabic. Guards talking to Yusuf. Joking with him. Same delivery as always? Same as always. Go ahead. The truck moved on. The second checkpoint, the Jordanian side, took longer. I heard the guards walking around the truck. One of them climbed into the back. I could hear him moving boxes, checking things. He was 3 feet from me. Maybe less. Jesus, 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 I prayed desperately. The guard moved something. A box shifted. Light flooded into my hiding space, just a crack, but enough that I could see his boots. He was looking right at the boxes concealing me. And then his radio crackled. Someone calling him back to the checkpoint station. He muttered something in Arabic, annoyed, and climbed out of the truck. 5 minutes later, we were moving again. Across the border. Into Jordan. Into freedom. When Yusuf finally opened the boxes and helped me out, we were parked in an alley in Amman. It was dark. My legs were cramped. I could barely stand. But I was out. Out of Saudi Arabia. Out of my father's reach. Yusuf drove me to a church, an actual church, with a cross on top, a building I could never have entered in Riyadh. A pastor met us at the door, a Jordanian man named Father Samir. Welcome, sister, he said, tears in his eyes. Welcome to freedom. He took me inside. Fed me. Gave me a room, small, simple, nothing like the palace. A twin bed. A wooden cross on the wall. I lay down on that bed and stared at that cross. I lost $400 million, I thought. My inheritance. My trust funds. All of it, gone. My mother had sent one message through the underground network. Just one. It had reached me the day before I escaped. You are dead to me. My father had legally disowned me. Erased me from the family. I didn't exist anymore. I'd lost everything. And lying there on that simple bed, staring at that wooden cross, I started laughing. Because I'd never been richer. I'd lost a palace. I'd gained a father. I'd lost billions. I'd gained eternity. I'd lost my earthly family. I'd gained the family of God, brothers and sisters all over the world who'd risked everything to save me. I'd lost a kingdom. And I'd gained the kingdom. That was 3 years ago. 3 years since Jesus appeared in my palace bedroom. 3 years since he stood in my father's throne room and declared me his daughter. 3 years since I walked away from $400 million and never looked back. Let me tell you what my life looks like now. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in a city I can't name. For security reasons, I still have to be careful. Some of my family members have connections everywhere, and there are people who'd love to claim the bounty my uncle quietly put on my head. Yes, there's a bounty. Not officially, of course. Officially, I'm just a mentally ill girl who disappeared. But unofficially? Let's just say some people don't like the idea of a Saudi princess publicly following Jesus. My apartment costs $800 a month. The bathroom has a crack in the tile. The kitchen is smaller than my walk-in closet used to be. I don't have servants. I cook my own food, badly, at first, because I'd never cooked anything in my life. I do my own laundry. I clean my own floors. And I've never been happier. I work at a refugee center now, helping other women who've escaped persecution. Women from Iran, from Afghanistan, from Egypt, from Pakistan. Women who left everything to follow Jesus. We sit together, drink tea that costs $3 a box instead of $300 a pound, and we share our stories. We cry together. We laugh together. We pray together. I'm mentoring a 17-year-old girl from Kuwait right now. Her name is Noor, same name as my cousin who disappeared into that forced marriage years ago. This Noor found Jesus through a dream, just like so many others. Her family discovered her secret and beat her so badly she couldn't walk for 3 days. She escaped with just the clothes on her back. Last week, I held her while she sobbed, missing her mother. I know it hurts, I told her. I know you feel like you lost everything. But Noor, you gained everything. You gained Jesus. And he's worth it. I promise you, he's worth it. She looked at me with those broken, beautiful eyes and whispered, "Is it always going to hurt this much?" And I had to be honest. Sometimes, yes. There are days I miss my mother so much I can barely breathe. There are nights I dream about the palace, about my old life, and I wake up crying. But then I remember, I was dying in that palace. I had everything and I was empty. Now I have almost nothing, and I'm full. The pain is real. But so is the joy. And the joy is bigger. I was baptized 6 months after I escaped. In a river, just like Jesus was baptized. I went under that water as Princess Ameerah bint Khalid, daughter of royalty, heir to a fortune, a woman defined by her family name. I came up as Ameerah, beloved daughter of God, joint heir with Christ, a woman defined by his name. I don't have designer abayas anymore. I wear jeans and t-shirts and sweaters I buy from thrift stores. I don't smell like $500 perfume. I smell like the cheap soap I buy at the grocery store. And every morning, when I look in the mirror, I see someone I actually recognize. Someone real. Someone free. Let me talk to some of you directly. Because I know who's watching this. If you're watching this from a palace, from a mansion, from a penthouse, I was you. I had the wealth, the luxury, the power. And it was empty. All of it. You can have $1 billion in the bank and be spiritually bankrupt. You can live in a palace and be imprisoned. You can have everything the world says matters and still be dying inside. Jesus is calling you. Not to poverty, he's calling you to richness. Real richness. The kind that doesn't rust or fade or get stolen. The kind that lasts forever. Is it scary? Yes. Will you lose things? Probably. Maybe even everything. But what you'll gain, oh, what you'll gain. You'll gain him. The one who created you. The one who loves you with a love that makes every other love look like a shadow. The one who died so you could truly live. I traded billions for Jesus. And I got the better end of the deal. By far. If you're a Muslim watching this, I know what you've been taught. I was taught the same things. Jesus was just a prophet. He didn't die on the cross. He's not the Son of God. Christians are misguided. The Bible is corrupted. I believed all of that for 23 years. And then I actually read the Bible. And I met Jesus. Not the Jesus of the Quran, the Jesus of the Bible. The Jesus who said, I and the Father are one. The Jesus who said, I am the resurrection and the life. The Jesus who died on a cross and rose from the dead and proved he was exactly who he claimed to be, God in flesh. You've been praying 5 times a day to a God who feels distant, haven't you? You've been trying to earn paradise, checking boxes, following rules, and deep down you're terrified it's not enough. Because it never feels like enough. That's because it's not enough. You can't earn salvation. It's impossible. That's the whole point. That's why Jesus came. Not to give us more rules. Not to make salvation harder. To make it possible. To do for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. He paid the price. The full price. And now he's offering it to you as a gift. Free. Not because you're good enough. Because he is good enough. All you have to do is receive it. I know you're scared. I know your family will be furious. I know you might lose everything. But please, please, don't let fear keep you from truth. Don't let the opinions of people keep you from the love of God. Jesus is real. He's calling you. And he's worth everything. If you're watching this and you're already a believer but you're comfortable, lukewarm, playing it safe, wake up. There are people dying, literally dying, for the gospel you take for granted. There are sisters and brothers of ours being imprisoned, tortured, executed for the name of Jesus. While you're scrolling through social media, someone is choosing Jesus over their life. What are you choosing Jesus over? Your comfort? Your reputation? Your plans? Jesus didn't die so you could live a safe, boring, self-centered life. He died so you could live. Really live. Dangerously. Radically. Sacrificially. I'm not saying everyone needs to flee their country. But I am saying everyone needs to actually follow Jesus. Not just believe in him. Not just attend church. Actually follow him. Take up your cross. Deny yourself. Lose your life to find it. Because this isn't a game. This is the most real thing in the universe. And one day, maybe today, maybe in 50 years, you're going to stand before Jesus and give an account for what you did with the gospel you were given. Did you hide it? Or did you share it? Did you play it safe? Or did you risk everything? Did you love your life more than him? Or did you love him more than your life? I want to pray with you. Right now. Wherever you are, in a palace or a prison, in wealth or in poverty, in freedom or in chains, Jesus is with you. He sees you. He knows your name. And he's calling you. If you've never given your life to Jesus, if you've been searching, seeking, reading, wondering, this is your moment. Don't wait. Don't put it off. You don't know how much time you have. Pray this with me. Out loud if you can. In your heart if you can't. Jesus, I've been living for the wrong things. I've been bowing to the wrong gods, money, power, family approval, my own pride. Forgive me. I believe you are who you said you are, the Son of God, God in flesh, the Savior of the world. I believe you died for my sins and rose from the dead. I can't save myself. I need you. So I'm giving you my life. All of it. The good parts and the broken parts. Everything. Make me yours. Change me. Save me. I'm yours, Jesus. Forever. If you just prayed that, welcome to the family. You are a child of God now. A joint heir with Christ. A citizen of the kingdom of heaven. Nothing can snatch you out of his hand. Ever. It won't be easy. Jesus never promised easy. But he promised worth it. And he promised he'd never leave you. Never forsake you. Never abandon you. I lost an earthly kingdom. I gained an eternal one. I lost a palace. I gained a father who actually loves me. I lost everything. And I gained him. And he's worth more than all of it combined. 3 years ago, I was Princess Ameerah bint Khalid. Daughter of royalty. Heir to billions. Prisoner in a golden cage. Today, I'm Ameerah. Just Ameerah. Daughter of the Most High God. Heir to an eternal inheritance. Free. I live in a small apartment. I work at a refugee center. I have scars, emotional ones, physical ones. There are nights I still cry. Mornings I still miss my mother. Moments I still grieve what I lost. But I'd do it again. 1,000 times over. Because I didn't lose what mattered. I found it. His name is Jesus. And if you're hearing his voice right now, that gentle whisper in your heart, that pull you can't explain, that sense that this is true, don't ignore it. That's him. Calling you by name. Inviting you home. He's been waiting for you your whole life. Go to him. Run to him. He's worth it. I promise you, he's worth everything.